For new founders, I think the first thing is just start. Like, don't overthink it. Like, and look, it's
Good. Thank you very much, Richie, for joining me today on this podcast. Good to have you.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Before we start, before we go deeper, right? Initially, during our conversation, you mentioned that you were not fit to my audience because you are not a fintech. Usually, people who carry the big role doesn't really know what they carry. So I just want to get more clarity. What do you actually do for fintechs in terms of getting them ready in the industry as an organization?
Yeah. I think you had a great analogy, right? Because obviously I saw the title of the podcast and everything, and I just thought I'll just double triple check, with the right fit for you. Not being a fintech company ourselves, but I suppose we're helping, supply the infrastructure and the tools to help some of these fintech companies grow right and scale, and they need support with great talent, and as we know, like great talent is hard to come by. So I'm new to Yotewo. I joined in the September. For those listening, my name's Richie Beckett. So I joined as their chief business officer, minority shareholder, and yeah, I suppose to I can touch on that a little bit and a bit more about myself, and but yeah, we really like not just fintech companies, but obviously they are revolutionizing, the financial industry, and you're seeing some of these big institutes now as well, almost like mirroring what the fintech companies are doing, and they're getting rid of these physical branches and they're investing more into their technologies and making it easier and better user experience, I suppose, for the customer. But yeah, that still needs a lot of great engineers, great developers, data scientists, architects. So that's where Yotewo comes in and tries and makes that as seamless as possible, I suppose, connecting those two together, the employee and the employer, and just making that sort of more
Yeah,
seamless.
thank you. Like the analogy I sent to you, I said, in a gold rush, people who make the most money are those who are selling the shovels.
Yeah.
But now you are selling you are selling the talent to these companies. I don't know. Do you have a deeper insight to know, oh, based on these founders, who is going to succeed more based on the talent they have, or do you have this deeper insight to understand, or what is the reason why founders succeed? Is it if they have the right talent, or is it the right founder or the technology that they use?
I mean, I think it's a mixture of all those things, but look, we know like a lot of great companies have great teams, and I feel like at Yotevo we've got a much smaller, leaner team, right, than where I've just been previously. But if I go back to when I was at Deliveroo, like I think a big reason why that was so successful is because of the people, and I think like DoorDash's acquisition of them, I think about 2.2 billion, I think it was. But I think there's so much value in the personnel. Like, a thing that probably doesn't get factored in so much when they're buying these companies, but like the years and years of trying to acquire these people into your organization. And when I had my business, so this is going back over a decade now, I started a small insurance outsourcing business and started with just 2 or 3 employees, and we scaled that up to 30 people. And I needed a great team around me. I know my strengths. I need really good people around me, and I suppose that's important. So I think now more than ever, retaining top talent as well. Once you've got them in there, keeping them with you and looking after people is more important than ever. Yeah. But I've been very lucky, yeah, with some of the teams I've built over the years. I managed to find, the right people, and I suppose you need a bit of an eye for that as well in terms of like,
Yeah, I agree with you. I really
yeah,
agree. You need to get the right talent and the right team to work with. No,
yeah,
let's dig deep into you now as a person.
yeah.
Um, you are a machine because I saw you are a sales machine that you were able to grow and onboard over 5,000 restaurants in your time at Deliveroo.
Yeah, so
How was
we were in the B2B space. So so thankfully we had a great team of people who had done a lot of the hard work by going and getting these great restaurant partners, grocery partners. So we had an unbelievable choice on the platform. We knew a lot of businesses were using Deliveroo, normally off their personal accounts. You know, think Tacos Tuesday, Friday lunches, all those types of things. Late night working meal allowances very popular, especially in places like London. You've got the big financial industry, fintech. It's very popular to provide an allowance for those employees. So what we did is, for my time we were there, I was very fortunate to lead a great sales team who would go out and they would sell our service. So it was a great expensing tool, so they could expense those meals to their employer through the app, and they could manage that allowance as well, which was really important. So companies weren't overspending. That's a problem if you if there's not some controls in there. So they could say, right, this person's got £20 every evening after 6 p.m., for example. So yeah, we sold. I mean, we probably sold a lot more accounts than that. I would say there was, over probably 8 to 10,000 accounts in my period that they sold. But thousands and thousands of live accounts, and some of these businesses as well. You know, we'd sell a business account to all companies of all shapes and sizes. So your humble startup that might have only 10 employees,
Mhm.
right up to a bank who might have 6,500 employees, right? But some of these companies are spending, hundreds of thousands of pounds on food and drink for their employees. And so yeah, it was great time, great experience, because having run some of my own businesses, I think that really helped me, and I think I'm glad I got exposure to such a big organization and see how operationally how great they
Mm.
were, and
Be-
and I
be-
think that's set me up for this next challenge.
exactly. That was my next question. That you
Yeah,
had this career going for you in Deliveroo. Why did you leave? And why
yeah,
now? What was the motivation?
yeah. You know what? It's interesting because you go from like a company worth billions, right? 3,000 employees to a company with less than 10. Um, I suppose a big thing for me was the founders. So I'd met with Dennis and Alex a few times before I accepted an offer. And, first of all, I was just really impressed with them as individuals. I think that was a big thing for me, right? Can I work with these people every day? Are they inspiring me? Um, and yeah, I definitely saw something in them that I've seen at other companies who've been really successful. So when you talk about, what the founders have, or what's that bit of magic they have, and, seeing that drive, they really complemented each other as well. Dennis being quite technical, Alex very, it's interesting because the last 3 years he's been building these communities and a lot of trust around London and working with some really good clients already. But yeah, he's definitely someone that I was like, okay, I can follow this person.
Mm.
Um, and also with what's happening in AI, right? I think it was Bill Gates the other day. I saw an interview, and love him or loathe him, he was saying this is the biggest thing he's seen in his lifetime, right? So he's been around, since the launch of the internet, mobile, cloud, blockchain, and this is the next, technology we're going to be able to utilize, and we're going to see, a number of companies start up. It's cheaper than ever to start a company. So you mentioned at the beginning about like trying to maybe inspire the next people to go on and start their own companies. So I started my first business with £1,000, which is nothing, right? It's um, and yeah, I had to take a bit of a risk, but I think now it's even cheaper, right, to start a
Ex-
company. You could start a company pretty much with nothing. And if you can prove the concept, or you can, convince someone to invest into you, or whatever it might be, I just think that the playing field is getting more even as well, and other areas around the globe as well. We're seeing great startups, all over the world, and I think this is where like AI is going to really help level people up as well.
So looking at your background, right? Before you were selling product, now you're selling people, and now AI is leveling this talent. AI is leveling people. How is it that shifts from selling a product to selling people and identifying the right fit for an organization?
Yeah, I suppose so. Software as a service. So again, using Deliveroo. So like Deliveroo never cooked any of the food. They never delivered anything, right? But they have to
Mhm.
host all that. So again, similar with Yotewo, um, we have tools that can vet, pre-approve the talent, and we just want to make a great space where it's great user experience. Hiring managers, businesses can go on there, and then they can, input exactly what they're looking for. You'll hear I'm not very technical, but what type of developer they're looking for, what skill sets they're gonna need. Um, and as it evolves as well, like for non-technical founders, actually just telling us what problem they're trying to solve, right, or what they're building, and then we can recommend off the back of that conversation, yeah, some 3 to 5 really good developers that we've matched, using AI and algorithm, and then they can recruit, they can interview them through the platform and everything. So the talent is really important to us, so we have to maintain high standards, and because we're only a lean team, right, you can't be, I suppose, for us, unlike a traditional recruiter, which I think there's a place for that, right? Who are very hands-on, they can do all those things. We want to make sure we get the talent bit right, so there's less issues with that person. So that way, we're not having to sort of intervene. We want the relationship more with the business and the talent, but they do everything through the Yotewo platform.
So tell me more about the Yotewo platform.
Yeah, yeah.
How is the recruitment done in Yotewo platform? How is the hiring? How is the referral done to clients who are also looking for talent?
Yeah, so we've made it really easy. So yeah, businesses out there that are listening, especially if you're bootstrapped, or you're very or maybe you've come into some investment and you want to protect that investment, right? You don't want to burn through your cash too quickly. So it's a plug and play model. So you only need to commit to like a minimum of 80 hours per month to begin with. So even if you just wanted to do like a roll-in
You say
monthly.
80 hours per month?
Yeah, you can do as little as 80 hours a month if you just wanted to dip your toe in, as we say sometimes in the UK. So that way you're not having to commit, especially for a young company. It sort of takes some of the risk away from you, right? You're not having to make a permanent hire with an expensive developer. First of all, as well, I must admit, prior to joining Yotewo, my idea of, because we're mainly offshore, so I suppose what I thought offshore hiring was all about was trying to save money. Which, don't get me wrong, it's more cost effective. These people, if you were hiring them in the US or the UK, normally they are more expensive than hiring somebody, say from Ukraine or Portugal or
Mm.
Montenegro, or so I thought it was more about the cost saving, but now I've been in the job a few months, I'm understanding that actually just accessing like global talent is just so valuable. So we have anywhere between like 11 to 12,000 people on our platform at any one time. So that can fluctuate daily as people, take on projects and take on work. So yeah, that's how it works basically, is that you can go on as a founder, you can go in there, you can type in keywords, exactly what you're looking for, and then we will match you with the right talent. So we say like, match today, hire tomorrow. So you should be able to hire within 48 hours.
Wonderful. So what you guys have done, you guys have um, change the traditional way of hiring to a more better way to hire. But the question I will ask here is, if I'm hiring someone for a period of time, not for a full-time role, how is the commitment? Because I had the founder Alex talking about you could just hire someone on a contract, just few weeks, and just piece and piece. How are you able to? How will founders be able to share their vision to the staff so that they can understand the culture, the vision, and the real passion around building that product? Wouldn't that be fragmentation? People might just work, no, I just come and just do to get paid and I'm off. They are not
Yeah.
really connected to the vision of the organization.
Yeah, and I think where Yotewo is really useful for some companies is for some startups really where they just want to get this prototype or they want to get something working right so they can go out to investors. They and then the best thing is when you've got those two things right, you've got permanent staff within your company, and then you've got Yotewo complementing that, right? We've all seen like those headlines where, people having to lay people off or there's not enough work, so they get, they maybe take on permanent people and it's not quite right. Or so this sort of gives you that sort of flexibility, I suppose, which, there's a market for that as well. But yeah, no, it's a good point. And I think in terms of your culture, building a team, building loyalty and all that, you need those people in your organization. But also there's other people that can dip in and out of your business, experts, right? Who can help you for a set period of time, which for them that suits them as well, right? They're happy. They don't really want to, you know, work somewhere for the next 10 or 15 years. They're more than happy, being paid a premium, being able to go out and work with lots of different companies and share that skill set. Um, and this is, I suppose, why we have, certain consultants out there or, advisors,
Mm-hmm.
so they can do that. So I think there's like I say, I think there's and that's why we we work with some recruiters, for example. So like people might think it's a direct competitor, but we don't see it like that because we feel like they're offering something that companies need as well. And in a lot of the cases, the recruiters need the talent, right? So they have really good clients, but they don't necessarily have access to talent. Where we obviously have got a rich talent pool on our platform, so sometimes we'll work with recruiters as well, so they can sort of work indirectly with us as well.
Okay, great. It's good to know that you work with recruiters,
Yeah.
and because I know, and you also mentioned something that is quite valuable that you hire in Yotewo for just 48 hours. You've worked in Deliveroo.
Yeah, or like yeah, if they're full time, if they're full time, so if they want to come on. I mean, the thing is as well, like if somebody wants to put a team together of 10 people for 12 months, then great. We can help support that as well. And
Oh, I see.
suppose when it's a longer contract, obviously you've got more time to build relationships and culture
I
and,
see.
and everything
I
else.
see.
Yeah.
I see. I see. So, back to you again. I'm back to AI,
Yeah, yeah.
right? You built a company initially before you left to Deliveroo, and what happened? Why did you
Yeah.
exit?
Yeah, so I ran a couple of different businesses actually. So I'll start with like my first proper business, which was React. So yeah, I built that with my brothers, funny enough. So I know they say you shouldn't mix business with family and things like that,
Yeah,
but I suppose it de depends on it can everyone bring something different, I suppose. And although we're brothers and we've got loads in common, we definitely all have our strengths. Like my younger
yeah,
brother was great at creating this really fun, vibrant culture, attracting other people, works nights outs and great incentives and all these things. My brother was brilliant operationally and everything like that as well. And I suppose I was very good at, bringing in the client. So even as a director, I was always having to go and out and sell our service right to insurance companies, insurance brokers. and I loved being, I call it the shop floor, but the sales floor, right? So in the end, we had 30 people all on the phone, speaking with customers on a daily. So I loved being right in the mix and enjoying that as well. So, and looking back now, it's such a great time, being working with your brothers every day and building something. So that was, I would say, was like very successful because I also at the same time got an opportunity to work with well, they were bought out by Slater and Gordon, so it was yeah, it was a chance to work as head of external. So that relationship come about from React, which was great as well. So yeah, we had a great period of time. I think after a few years though,
Mm.
I suppose I just thought insurance, okay, as great as it is and very necessary, I don't see myself doing it forever. And funny
No.
enough, actually, the three of us, we sort of like split our own ways and we all went and did our own thing. So we all took a bit of money out and started up our own things. And funny enough, none of us were as successful on our own as we were together. So that was
Mm.
interesting as well. That we definitely were stronger together, and I think we complemented each other. Um, but yeah, I suppose I did lose my love for it a little bit. I think I could be still doing it today and make a really good living out of it. Like I know some people like to say a lifestyle business, but it was paying very well. I was able to support like 30 people and make sure they could pay all their bills and everything else as well.
Mhm.
So I call it a success, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And then my second business on that was Save the High Street. So this was Your Money,
Yeah.
Sir. And this was really interesting because I could see firsthand some town centres really deteriorating, especially around Greater Manchester, Stockport being one of them. And right now, actually, I can see a really huge resurgence, actually. So I can't take the credit, but I like to say that we did play a little small part. But it was about raising awareness of like how important it is well to support like local businesses. But also what I found is I ended up like really championing and trying to work with local authorities and campaigning for like lower business rates and things like that. Because I was seeing like thousands and thousands of businesses disappear off the high street, and some of the
Mm.
big companies like I saw in my lifetime, like Woolworths disappear, Debenhams disappear, Toys R Us, like all these companies that you'd grown up with, and
Mhm.
seeing them disappear, it was really sad. And
Okay.
nobody wants to walk through a town centre with boarded up shops. It just looks horrible. It's not good for the housing around there or anything.
No.
And I'm so glad. Stockport is a great example. Like they built a brand new bus station. They've invested in the train station. There's a new hotel gone up in there,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's looking great. It's attracted businesses back in. It's really good to see that sort of like being sort of resuscitated, brought back to life a little bit because it 10 years ago it wasn't looking as good, but things are definitely developing. That business was really good. I suppose though, when you're trying to sort of monetize something, dealing with businesses who are struggling makes that thing a little bit harder, right? And I gave it a good go, and we were supposed to get some investment into that. Actually, it never quite materialized, and I think that would have given us a bit more running time and really sort of try and focus on Save the High Street Manchester or Save the High Street Leeds or say and start scaling it. But yeah, it got to a point where I was like, okay, it's not quite working. I think my wife said it as well. She's like, right, look, maybe it's time to get a proper job. I think that was exact words. So, so I'd run a few businesses, and like I say, one very successful, one not so much, but I felt like we were doing something really good and worthwhile. So, in terms of the fulfillment I got from it, was brilliant. Like, and I look back and again, I'm very proud of what we did in that little time. Especially Anthony Price, who I'll mention as well. And sadly, he's no longer with us, which I only found out, quite recently. But he was really helped me as well with that business. So he sacrificed so many hours, literally going in, you know, seeing businesses, being on the phone, he put so many hats on. But when you talk about somebody who's really invested into a business,
Mm-hmm.
he shared my vision and loved it as much as me. So just wanted to sort of pay a bit of a tribute to him actually, because he was very important in that business. And then came Deliveroo, and then 6.5 years of working for
So
a tech company.
in all of this, right? There's someone out there wanting to start something, and
Yeah,
you started, you've scaled, you've left, you've started, you've scaled, you've gone to work with a unicorn, you've
yeah.
learned all the secrets, everything to grow a company to a unicorn. Now you are in another business. What is that advice you would give to someone who wants to start, who is thinking, oh, how do I start? How
Yeah.
can I even build it? Or a new founder who is thinking, how do I grow or scale my business? What is that thing that you've learned over your experience that you could share that will help a new founder or someone wanting to start?
I think for new founders, I think the first thing is just start. Like, don't overthink it. Like, and look, it's okay to fail as well. It's okay to fail publicly as well. Like, don't worry too much about what other people think. And I mean, I don't mean rush into anything, because I think there's something about that as well in terms of, and yeah, like, but just get started. There's that's the first thing, and you'll learn a lot as well. Like, I think after running a couple of businesses and then my time at Deliveroo, and like I say, I think it's put me in a really good place now. But I've not always got it right, and that's okay as well. So I think for any new founders out there, it's really easy to set up a business now. And now is a really exciting time to do it. So sometimes you just need to be brave, maybe have that bit of confidence in yourself to go and do it. And you don't always need validation from anyone else.
Mhm.
I share a lot of my ideas because I was told as well, like, you'll keep coming up with new ones if you keep sharing your ideas and things like that. So and don't worry if people don't think your ideas are good, right? Always the best ideas everyone will think were really awful. Like, I think Airbnb, the founder for that was saying that about, he told people at Airbnb and they're just like, no, this is never going to work. So, but I think, yeah, if you believe in it, then go for it. And I suppose when you're looking to then scale a business, I suppose it's really important as well that you have that vision of, like, have we got everything in place so when we do scale, it's not going to put too much strain on the business, not only financially, but have we got the personnel, have we got the technology to help support that sort of level of growth? So I think that's what I've been really impressed with, actually. I was speaking to Alex, our co-founder, saying, as the scrappy startup gone now, because I've spoke with hundreds and hundreds of founders, and some of them are very small startups. But when I've started digging deeper and asking questions and visiting their offices and things like that, like, they're really slick. Like, they've got tools that our enterprises are using because the
Mm.
cost has come right down. So they've all got
Exactly.
access to Calendly, Zapier, AI. They've got Slack. They've got all these tools, right, that the big enterprises have got. They're very well organized. I think there's more information out there. Podcasts just like this are helping as well, founders, because there's just this library, right, of resource, and more founders, especially great founders, are more happy to share advice as well about the good and the bad and the ugly. Diary of a CEO has been fantastic. I've learned a load from people on there, for example. So I just think there's more information than ever before. So I've been really impressed with this next generation of founders. That they're really slick.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And something I'm also struggling with that I can see some founders are struggling with. Now I tell people idea is cheap. Sometimes some founders are good. AI has made execution very easy. So you could have an idea, you could build your product, and it's ready to go. But
Yeah,
one thing people struggle, which you have a high strength in, is marketing. Now people have built a lot of products. In Web Summit, you see a lot of startups that listed their business and a lot of business. But again, how do they market? So
Yeah.
founders are struggling with marketing. So what's the best way for founders who have built a business to improve their sales and grow astronomically in terms of customer acquisition? From your experience,
Yeah.
especially with Deliveroo.
Well, it's not easy. And it's definitely not easy if no one's ever heard of you. So I've been on both sides of that coin, right? I've taken stuff where the person on the other end of the call or receiving that email or in that face-to-face meeting has never heard of you before, and that is tougher because then you're trying to build that trust and the credibility and everything else that comes with it. Um, so, for example, when we were at Deliveroo, it made our life a bit easier because obviously people had heard of the brand, right? They might not necessarily knew Delivery for Work existed and that we offered a business account and they could use us, still access all the same great choice of restaurant partners, but through Delivery for Work. So that made things a little bit easier, right? But you're still having to compete with, Uber for Business and Just Eat for Business
Yeah.
and um, Themeless at the time, and there's other competitors that were around. So, but for a new startup, I suppose it's like knowing that you've got to lead from the front. So like you've got to be the one who the founder especially knows the product better than anyone. So they're going to be able to sell it better than anyone. Even bringing in a experienced salesperson of 20 years, the probably the founder who's baby this is probably going to always be the best person to talk about it. So I suppose they have got to bring everybody on that journey, get the team motivated and enthused about what they're trying to solve as well, the product or service or how they're helping them. And just being persistent, like, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people trying to sell products and services into businesses. So I suppose you've got to understand the customer as well from their point of view that look, there's lots of people all trying to reach them. Like everybody wants to sell to enterprises, right? But that's they get so much. So, try and be a bit creative as well. And things change. Like what worked for me 10, 15 years ago doesn't necessarily work now.
Exactly.
And different things land better. Like I know, okay, if we buy X amount of data or we send a campaign out to 25,000 people, of course you'll get stuff from that. But, we definitely are more focused on just building a really good product and letting that do a lot of the talking for us as well, because I think there's something in that as well. Like word of mouth and recommendation are still always the best, and we've been quite fortunate up to this point that we've got a lot from that. And but now, obviously, of course, like as we start, bringing in more business development managers, SDRs, we want to make people aware that we're around, right? So, it's I suppose not just relying on one channel as well. I think that's one important thing. Like I think if you're over reliant on whether it be email or phone calls or advertising, marketing, I think you need a collective of all these things. I think they all help contribute. And doing it in the right way as well, like being personal. I think more than ever is really important. Is being authentic, being personal, and trying to meet with people in person as well. I would really strongly recommend that. Is try and get more FaceTime. A Google Hangout for me is always much better than a cold email or a phone call. If you can try and get somebody on a phone call with you and they can see you and they can buy into you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And again, right, I see AI has automated the way of recruiting. I was playing with something, and I saw a business that helps AI does the recruitment for them. AI becomes the avatar, does the recruitment, and then validates the person's response and gives the answer. Is this something that Yotewo, you guys are looking to use AI to source your talent in terms of recruiting or in terms of pre-interview to ensure that you guys get the right talent that talks not just on because CVs today can be written with AI, right? So where you begin to source or begin to differentiate people is what do they have upstairs? How can
Yeah.
they talk about or present themselves? Is that something?
I mean, there's some AI already integrated into Yotewo when it comes to the matching side. Um, and I believe so on the other end in terms of like vetting talent. So we're already like utilizing AI and also just in our day-to-day running the business, right? We use AI. But I think I think like I said, there's a place for I think what I've learned as well is there's enough sort of space for lots of different companies trying to do it in different ways, and I think speed is important as well, and I think people who might be like used to like these 4 or 5 interview rounds or and overcomplicating it. I don't think we need to really overcomplicate this process, and I think maybe we've done a bit of that over the last few years. So I think people are sort of looking for to try something new. Funny enough, actually, I always when I had my own business, I always found like I was having to pay somebody money to get really good talent, or I was having to spend a lot of money on advertising to get people to send their CVs into me. So I always found like there was always someone who was stopping that connection between the employee and the employer. So I think trying to connect them to and make that
Mhm.
really easy is what really appealed me to Yotewo. But yeah, I think we're a bit different to some of these bigger traditional recruitment companies or these big AI recruiters where it's like volume, it's, all jobs, it's all industries where obviously we're focusing on people who are very technical. So we're a bit of a different sort of niche, but yeah, it's definitely changing the way people think about recruiting. You've seen some new companies just recently. I mean, Yotevo have been around for 3 years, so I think it's we've done a lot of research as well, and built slowly, and got a lot of like feedback from our customers as well, which I think is really important. But I think you'll see even more like big recruiters come out where they're using AI. I just think the only thing is like time will tell how successful it is, right? In terms of how quick it is for somebody to get employed, and
Mm.
does it work for businesses? But I think there's definitely an appetite for it, and it's like everything's moving on, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, yeah, because in recruitment today, right, with the birth of AI, because I feel AI has actually made everything, created a level playing ground for a whole lot of people.
mm,
And
mm,
sometimes we begin to ask, how do we identify the right talent?
yeah, yeah,
Because people, developers can use AI to become better. Better
yeah, yeah.
developers because AI, you cannot be better than the output that AI is giving because that's been trained. So how do we differentiate the fake or the cheating talents with the real talents when recruiting or when hiring?
Yeah, so there's no doubt that AI is helping, especially technical people, right? Because there's some great great companies out there that are helping support people who maybe have very little experience in coding, for example. But I think there'll always be you know, for the higher end talent, there's always going to be that market for. And I think even like you're seeing people now having to like rewrite code and things like that from like AI or, so I think what we're seeing is like some projects being done quicker than they would have because they're AI aided, if you like.
Hmm.
And we've done a lot recently, and we've launched AI Fluent now, so it's really easy to see who actually has experience in using AI, but also have worked AI projects, so they've got real experience working in a company that's in that space.
So when recruiting right now, what do you look out for in talent? Are you looking out for the talent's ability to use AI or the talent's ability to use the stack that is being required?
Yeah, probably more one for Dennis, our other co-founder. But yeah, I think it's there's a lot of talent on there. There's a lot of experience. They all have to be pre-approved as well to get on the platform. So you can't fake it if you even with the best CV out there, there's testing and things like that to make sure that yeah people can definitely walk the walk. But yeah, I think as well, like for sort of traditional recruiting, I think for like a startup as well, like having to pay, between 10 and 20,000 pounds just to get that person in the business, like that's a huge sum of money for some people, right? And
Yeah.
for some people, they just don't have that. Where the benefit from Yotewo is, well, there's no cost to go and have a look around. Like you can interview three or four people and you can see if there's some chemistry there or there's a really good match. And I think as well, if you're in that in if you want certain, we have like a lot of companies we work with who've got really exceptional in-house talent, but they're very like, look, we need somebody in to help us with this, or we know
Mm.
might need two or three people. If you want it done in 9 months, or you want it done in 6 months, we're not going to be able to do it with the team we've got here. We're going to need experts. We're going to need those people. So people can go on, they can access these people really easy. There's no big commitment because they can just bring them in on a monthly. Um, yeah, not having to make that big commitment as a business. But yeah, no, it's really interesting what's happening, and like I say, at first I thought it was a lot about trying to save money, but now I'm learning more than ever, like people want to access not just talent from the UK, but they want to access global talent. Is you look at some of the famous football clubs in England, right?
Mm.
They've had to source talent globally, right, to have the best team, and it's no different. And we wouldn't think twice about a British company announcing that they're moving their manufacturing to a country that might be better at that, right, or can do it more
Okay.
affordable. So it's the same. It's the same in this space as well.
Thank you very much. And if I
Yeah.
may ask you, right, whether Yetowo becomes a unicorn today or it goes to zero, what is that thing that you personally want to prove to yourself and say, I have done or I have achieved for
Yeah.
for, for myself? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think we're ever going to be one of these big, huge companies. That's probably not where we're at again because it's a bit more niche, right? But I think what we'll be really proud of and is helping these startups, right? Helping these new founders and seeing some of those go on to be the next unicorn, right? We're only a small team. Okay, we'll probably double, triple in size, and I'm sure we'll be maybe 5 or 10x the value we are today in a couple of years' time. That's our goal, and that's success for us. But I think the proudest moments I'll have is going, hey, we worked with those companies, like we worked with the next Airbnb, or we worked with the next Uber or whoever it was and helping support them. Like I'm already speaking to like a handful of founders now, and I'm like, wow, I'm just so impressed in what they're building, and I can see them being huge, right? Even though you and Yotewo play our part in helping support those founders
Yeah.
with the right technical people. So that for me would just be the ultimate to say, hey, like we work with them early on, and there's some clients that we're working with already who, that we started working with them early 2 years ago. Now they've come into the second, third round of investment. Some of them are going to go on to IPO, I'm sure, and we that's that. Already I'm seeing that was helping, and
Hmm.
in return they're helping us grow, right? Because they're adding more and more people from using our platform and spreading the word that we're good people to work with. So that for me will be the best, yeah, in a few
Uh,
years' time.
and my last question for you will be people or technology?
Always people first, right? We're the human race. We've got to look after one another. That's the most important thing is, and if we can leverage technology, and I think there's probably for another conversation, but there's a lot of going to be a lot of fake news. There's going to be a lot of fraud and all of these things with AI, and probably I don't think we're even quite ready for it. The level we'll probably see, and how we're going to need tools to identify misinformation and all these sorts of things. So, but you can't stop the technology and the trajectory we're on with AI because the amount of good it's going to do as well. And I think it can only help humanity. It can, like I say, level us all up, put us more on an even playing field. Maybe the wealth sort of divide or gap might shrink, and that's what we want as well. I think it's for a better society. But like I say, early stage founders from anywhere in the globe, they're going to have tools. These tools are going to get more affordable, and they're going to be able to go and build something pretty amazing. And I think it's only a matter of time as well before we see the next fintech company or the next big tech company, with a handful of people, be worth billions. And yeah, it's very interesting. Great time to be alive, if you ask me.
I agree with you. It's a very wonderful time to experience, and I'm happy it's happening
Yeah,
in my lifetime.
yeah.
And before we go today, if I want to sound, or if a business listening today wants to reach out to Yotewo, and what would that be? What would the process be?
Yeah,
And your
really simple. So if you've got a work email address, just head to yotewo.com, which is spelled Yotewo.com, and you can create a profile on there. You can tell us what you're looking for, and yeah, we'll present some great matches for you. You can arrange the interviews all through the platform, and if those are a good fit, you can bring them on. Like I say, you can bring them on for just a couple of months, or 6 months, or 12 months. You can see how things are developing. So it's very easy to use, and we've also got people on hand as well. So if you're non-technical and you want a little bit of support or advice, head to the website as well, and put in your information in the contacts us section, and one of the team will reach out to you.
Thank you very much. And your last advice to the audience, what's that book that changed your way of thinking?
You know, embarrassingly to say, I've never been big on books, and that might shock probably some of the audience. But I love documentaries.
Mhm.
I love podcasts. I love learning. I suppose I've just always tried to, yeah, consume that information in a different format. Yeah, I'm like I say, I love like learning from people directly. So I've had some great mentors in the past and things like that. So I wouldn't say so much like a book that's changed my life or my way of thinking, but there's definitely been certain documentaries, Internet's Own Boy, is like very inspiring, and hearing about founders, their sort of rise. But I would definitely advise people to like seek out other founders, other mentors, people that you admire, because you might be surprised that they might just come back to you, and give you some time.
Thank you very much, Richie, for today. And thank you for giving our time to have this conversation with us. We really appreciate it.
No,
Thank you.
pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Take
Yeah,
care.
thank you. Bye.